Hey everyone, this is Mark for the Gun Guy channel and welcome back this week. Hey, if you've been enjoying our videos, please like them and subscribe, help us get the word out. We're a new channel. We're really trying to get the word out and get more subscribers. This week, we are going to be looking at the most prolific .22 long rifle pistol in history. And it also gave birth to an iconic American firearms company. And it's turning 75 this year, which means in 3 more years it could run for President of the United States. That's right, we are looking at the Ruger Mark IV. I'm going to take a look at this gun right now. Hey everyone, so before we get into the unboxing and reviewing the gun, breaking it down, the meat and potatoes, kind of wanted to take a look at the history of this particular firearm. The reason being it is turning 75 this year, and that's kind of special unless you're a politician and then it's like being in kindergarten. Round about 1949, William Ruger, along with Alex Strom, came up with this gun. Ruger had designed a .22 long rifle pistol, basically based loosely on one of the Japanese World War II pistols, which was the Japanese Nambu. The way that he got this was he got a couple of them from Marines who were returning from the Pacific Theater. And he used this as the basis for what would become the Ruger standard. But he didn't have the money to go ahead and start manufacturing these. Enter Alex Sturm. Alex saw the design, loved it. He actually thought it was very reminiscent of the Luger, which was the German pistol of the time, and it was a very popular collectible. So he thought the gun was going to do well, and he invested $50,000 at that time. From that $50,000 investment and that one gun design, Strom Ruger Company became. And that's the company that makes some of the finest American firearms today, in my opinion, and some that are in the middle of the road too. But I really do like their .22s, and I love their revolvers. The gun went into production sometime around 1950, and it was marketed simply as the Ruger Standard. It was .22 long rifle, and at the time, Ruger had come up with some manufacturing ideas that allowed them to undercut all the competition. So the gun was selling for $37.50 at the time. Now, that sounds cheap, and it is. In today's dollars, that would be roughly $470, which is still a good buy for a high quality gun. And that same gun pretty much stayed the same for the next 33 years. And it was marketed as the Mark I, or the Ruger Standard. And sometime in 1982, Ruger redesigned it and it became out as the Mark II. The Mark II stayed in place and it improved some of the design elements of the Mark I. That gun stayed in place until approximately 2016. In 2016, you guessed it, the Mark III came out. Then the Mark III stayed in place until about 2020, when the Mark IV came out. Now the Mark IV had a few different changes, but the main change was how you can break the gun down. So while people uniformly loved the Mark III and the Mark II and the Mark I, the main problem was it took a lot of time and an engineering degree to break the gun apart and then put it back together. The Mark IV is probably the easiest gun I've personally ever had to break down. It's a one-button push and you're done. So with that, now that we know a little bit of the history of this particular series of guns, let's unbox it and go through the review. All right, so let's get to it. The first thing you'll notice is it comes in a really big box. As we open it up, we see an ATF youth handgun safety notice, which is supposed to be in most firearms, as I imagine. The instruction manual, some promotional pieces, the gun itself, which has 1 mag in it, an additional 10-round magazine, a lock, a flag for the chamber to indicate that it is empty, and a trigger lock. Now, I don't know if the trigger lock comes in everything. We got this gun from a big box store, so to speak, and they have these on all their guns until they leave the store. So that might be why this is in here. I'm not sure if that's in everything. In regard to the actual case itself, this is a really, really nice case. Kind of surprised at the thickness of it, given that the gun is pretty thin, but nonetheless, great case, so you want to keep that. We're going to put the pamphlets, the lock, and the indicator, and the extra magazine away, and now we're going to take a quick look at the gun itself. All right, so this gun is brand new out of the box, has never had any ammo in it, but we're going to go ahead and check it just because. So we'll take the magazine out. Magazine release is right there. It's pretty easy to get to. We'll check the chamber, and that is empty as well. So we are safe. We will now put this back in because this particular gun has a magazine disconnect, which means we won't be able to do some of the things we want to do with the magazine out of the gun. Magazine release is right there. The slide release is here. This is a single action only gun. And there is a ambidextrous safety. When you lower it, the gun is in fire. When you raise it, the gun is in safe mode. That will become important when we get to the breaking down of the gun later on, because as I said, one of the nicest features, and actually probably one of the things that sold me on this gun, is the one button breakdown and ability to clean this. Now, the gun itself comes with a 10-round capacity. So both magazines are 10 rounds. The gun is made out of aluminum. The barrel length is 5.5 inches. The barrel itself is forged steel. This particular finish is blue, as you can tell. The width on this gun is 1.2, and I think it gets that width principally from the bolt, or what I'm going to call the charging handle, even though it's not an AR, so I know it's not a charging handle, but I'm going to call it a charging handle. The rear sight is adjustable for both windage and elevation, so windage is there, elevation is there. The weight on the gun is 35.6 ounces. So that's kind of heavy for a .22 long rifle. The upside to that is there's zero recoil with this gun for all practical purposes. It feels like you're shooting a BB gun for all practical purposes. Now, the overall length of it is 9.75 inches. The height is 5.5, and it has a 1 in 16 twist on the barrel. The suggested retail on this gun is $679. But if you shop around for it, you can get it in the low fives for certain. And depending on if it's on sale, you might even break into $499 or that area. This particular model is the Target model. Now, Ruger has, I believe, about 12 different variations on the theme. You can separate them basically into two different categories based on the handle. So this is the very traditional model, and if you look at the Mark I, this kind of keeps the aesthetic and design of that gun. Sometime, I believe, around the Mark III, what they did was they also came out with the .22-45. And as opposed to having this significant angle on this gun, it has more of a traditional angle akin to a 1911, which shoots in 45 ACP, therefore the .22-45. I really actually like this handle or grip. I think it feels pretty good. It is an extreme angle though, so it might take a bit to get used to. So let's take the magazine out one more time and take a look at that. The magazine has this little notch, which is really helpful in loading .22s. So .22s, while they're certainly not a very powerful cartridge, it can become challenging to get them into the magazine. So this definitely helps. One of the chief, I guess, complaints that I've heard about this gun is on this part right here. When you do go to charge it, right, because it's a single action, these, I don't know if you can see, kind of do dig into the fingers quite a bit. So you want to be careful. There are handles, charging handles for this, or honestly, I've also seen people take some sandpaper and just kind of rough those down. I personally wouldn't do that. I think I'll just wait for them to wear down by of their own natural, of old age, so to speak. There's the slide release, so we can get this back into battery. Let's take a look at the trigger. We're going to make sure that the gun is hot. We're going to take the trigger back to the wall, and we're going to just start to squeeze, and it's got very little take up. We're going to do that one more time. And we get a little bit, so it's right there. Not much creep at all. So let's see what the trigger pull comes in at. We're gonna take our trusty little device and let's see what we get. 3.1 on that one. And 3.6, we'll do one more and see where that comes in. .1. So again, not bad. The sights on this are basically, as you might expect from the name of the gun, target sights. So there's no white dots. It is really, really good for target shooting. And we'll get into that a little bit later, but it's one of the reasons that I got this gun. We're going to discuss why you might want this version as opposed to some other version shortly. You'll also notice that this version comes with a bowl barrel. One of the reasons that you want a bowl barrel is because, in theory, it gives you a little bit more accuracy because the barrel doesn't move quite as much. For those of you who have had the Mark 1, 2, or 3, and if you have the Mark 1, by the way, interesting side note, we're going to digress. The Ruger emblem was actually designed by Alex Strum. So he was somewhat of a buff in regard to royalty and coats of arms. So he designed this specific coat of arms for Ruger. When he passed away, which was in 1951, once the company got started, for a very limited run, this eagle was switched to black in mourning for his passing by Ruger. There are still a few of those guns out in the market, and quite rare and I'm sure quite expensive. To take this gun apart, you move the safety on. There is a button back here with the Ruger emblem, and it is literally as simple as pushing down and pulling apart. And there you have it. This gun breaks down easier than, honestly, any gun we've done before. To take it further apart, you can take the bolt assembly out like that. If you wanted to take the guide rail out for a cleaning, let's see if I can get there. I don't have any of my cleaning tools, but you could. I'm not going to be able to do that with just my hands, but if you just push this apart, you'll be able to take it down and clean the whole area. And then honestly, run a bore snake through here and you're pretty good. You can just put the gun back together like that. You hook it right there, line that up, press this button and push down, and voila, you're back in action. So really easy to take apart and put back together again. All right, so all in all, kind of a quick review this week. The breakdown's super easy. We're going to take it out to the range and shoot this gun. But one of the things we should probably talk about first is why this specific gun. There are 12 different versions of the Mark IV that are available. They go from stainless steel to the 2245, which, as discussed, has a different grip. The stainless steel is an all stainless steel gun, and it's a little bit heavier. But there's also competition. There's the Smith & Wesson Victory, which is very akin to this, and the Browning Buckmark, which is also very akin to this. So the reason that I got this particular gun is because of the way I was going to use it. I think that's something that people need to ask themselves. I ask myself, what is the purpose of a specific gun that you're getting? So for me, I wanted to qualify for NRA basic pistol. And I was somewhat concerned about the shooting portion of it. You have to basically go 5 for 5 in 4-inch circles at various distances. And then you have to, I believe, go 18 for 20 at a further distance with a bigger circle, I believe a 6-inch. So what I did and what I recommend to everyone is I went to one of the local gun ranges that has rentals and rented all of the guns. And the reason that I went with this specific Ruger was this. I shot really well with this gun right out of the gate. So while I was worried about qualifying, I actually went through all 4 distances, hit 100%, and would have qualified. So this is the gun that I'm planning on using for that. And quite frankly, I was also pretty good with the Browning and the Smith more so than the Browning, but the ease of breaking it down really just won the day for me. So if you're looking for a good target pistol, plinking, if you're looking to get someone involved in shooting with an incredibly low recoil gun that's very accurate, the Ruger Mark IV is an exceptional choice. I'm going to give it 5 out of 5 bullseyes. If you like this video, again, please subscribe. If you found something that I did wrong, which happens once every 100 years or so, please feel free to comment on it and just give us your feedback. You have a great week.